Peak Wealth Management proudly presents the Trust the Plan podcast with Nick Hopwood and Jim Pilat, where we believe by providing education and guidance, we can help you retire with peak confidence. Now, here are your certified financial planners, Nick and Jim.
Welcome everyone to the Trust the Plan podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jim.
And Jim, this is the Feel Good edition.
I love the Feel Good edition.
Everybody does. We always get great feedback on that. So Jim, last week, Quinn and I went to Cedar Point for her first time.
Oh, yeah?
And it was the first time for me since wearing masks.
Okay.
So
It's been a while.
yeah, there's no one wearing masks.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Better experience.
Yeah. And we went for the fast pass.
Okay.
So she's 7, pretty spoiled, going on the fast pass for the first time. But I just couldn't handle the idea of waiting in all those lines.
Yeah.
So it was fun. We had a nice blue sky, sunny day, and she pretty much rode all the roller coasters. So that was nice.
Yeah? She enjoyed them?
Yeah. By 4 p.m., I was like ready to tap out.
So the fast pass sped up your day a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Did it help?
The longest line was 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. That is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty good.
Very cool.
And she handled all the big rides. But, you know, I'm 45 now, so my equilibrium by 4 p.m. was like way off.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to suggest to her that we might be done soon,
Yeah.
right? And then I sat a few out. Like she went on Blue Streak like 10 times, and I just kind of sat in the shade.
My.
Yeah,
That's a good one to sit out. Those
Yeah.
old school ones are a little rough for me now.
exactly. So, Jim, on this Feel Good edition, let's talk politics. What do you think?
Oh, man. Everybody loves talking politics.
Yeah. So our friends at JP Morgan have a great slide that we found here. We're going to share with you. It's called Consumer Confidence by Political Affiliation. So I think that everyone can probably relate to this, whether you're on the left or on the right. But this tells a story of going back to 2000. The red line is how Republicans are feeling about consumer confidence. The blue line, Democrats. So coming out of the Clinton years and the internet bubble and everything, everyone was feeling great. Right, consumer confidence was riding high, markets were high.
Yeah, absolutely. We hadn't yet seen the real pullback on the tech stocks yet.
Right, the economy was running hot. The deficit was 0. Right, Imagine that. So everyone was on both parties were feeling pretty good, and then that 2000 crash, 9/11, the recession there. With a Republican president, with Bush in there, Democrats, the confidence was low, and Republicans, it was coming down, okay, from the 90s. And you can see that gap, right? Pretty wide gap. But then in 2008, what did we see?
Yeah, 2008 was the financial crisis, the housing issues we had, and the market felt it, the economy felt it. It was painful all the way around. So it's pretty apparent. You can see on the chart, even the Republicans got pretty nervous during that time, and consumer confidence was low for both parties.
Yes. And so then we have election day here. Obama wins, and we have his 8 years, and we see both parties' confidence was low. It was the slowest recovery that we've seen coming out of a recession. But naturally, because we have a Democrat in the White House, right, the Democrats are trending higher than the Republicans. And the gap was widening over that 8 years. See, they both start low and widen out.
Yeah, it does. As you look at that middle part of the chart, though, it is pretty obvious that it took a while for people to build that confidence back up. It really moved sideways and, slightly higher over the years without any really big swings like we see in the first and the last time period that we're showing here.
Another interesting thing to point out is that the real GDP during the Bush years was 1.9%, and during the Obama years was 2.2%. So pretty similar. But look at the S&P returns. During the Bush years, a negative 4.5% per annum. He kind of had it in a bad spot, inheriting the all-time high, and then at the finish was the 2008 crash. Yeah. So, there's a narrative that goes along with that. But Obama, 16.3%, And it's not because the economy was so much better, but like I said, the starting and finish point. And then coming into the 2016 election, look at this reversal, right? That was quite remarkable on the red line there. The Republicans' confidence went through the roof with Trump in there, and the Democrats, it stayed level, but then at COVID, both of them crashed down. But what's interesting now is that if you look at the Republicans, it's lower. The Republican consumer confidence is lower today than it was in the depths of the COVID low. That's remarkable.
It is, especially with, not having the economic problems we were having during those time periods.
Yeah. The economy today versus in the COVID low is night and day, but the consumer confidence is like 4 times worse.
Yeah.
Crazy. And it's kind of matching, not exactly, but kind of similar to the lows coming out of 2008. And by the way, 2008, remember first-time home buyers? I think my brother participated in this. They got like an $8,000 tax credit for a first-time home buyer in 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And they're proposing a similar type of thing now, but it would be $25,000 for a first-time home buyer. And one thing I was thinking about was the difference in the real estate market now versus then.
Yeah.
I think, in 2010, the real estate market was just locked up. Like you really couldn't sell your house very easily. But now, as a first-time home buyer, you get this $8,000 in your back pocket, right? That was helpful. It started to spur some demand. Whereas today, demand is very high, and the supply is very low.
Right.
It's very easy to sell your home right now. But adding $25,000 to the first-time home buyer is just going to increase demand with already short supply. You can't just repeat what we did in 2010 and say that it's going to work.
It's a very different time.
Very different.
Yeah. That's the problem with demand being so high right now. You're putting more demand in the market by incentivizing people to buy new homes, and the people who need to sell the house for them to buy it have no incentive, right? Because they've already owned a home.
Yeah, and if I'm in a home right now with a 3% interest rate, and I want to maybe trade up, okay, I feel locked because I don't want to get a 6.5% mortgage. By the way, mortgage rates have come down from like 7.5 to 6.5, so that's good for housing. Is it enough to get these people moving? I don't know, probably not. But you could start thinking about refinancing if you were in an 8%. I would probably still hold out because I think rates might continue to come down. But anyway, if I am looking to sell my house and trade up, I'm gonna be thinking about that mortgage primarily, but I'm not getting the 25.
Right.
And I'm not selling to a first-time home buyer.
Right.
So the buyer is not bringing the 25 my way. So it's only a select group, right? Entry-level homes.
Yeah, without question.
The one thing on that topic was a lot of investment firms are gobbling up these single-family homes, and I do think that it would be appropriate for the government to intervene there and say, hey, this has to stop, because I don't think it's great for society.
Right.
As an investor, we want to make money, but I don't think it's good for society.
Right. If they gobble up all the inventory, then your only choice is to rent from them.
Yes.
Right. And then now they control the rent prices.
Exactly. So let's see. We also have the Trump and Biden years here with real GDP growth. We've got the Trump real GDP growth was 1.8 compared to Biden at 2.7. But again, stock market higher, less GDP growth, but higher market returns for Trump versus Biden, 16 versus 12.5. So, it's not so much about what is the market return, but I think it's really interesting to see the consumer confidence, with different, basically it's like if I lean right now, I'm angry because it's not my guy in there, right? And if I lean left, I want to have this positive narrative. It's my
Yeah.
party in there, so I feel good, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting how it's kind of human nature, I guess. There's probably a psychological term that we can use for this. Mm-hmm. I have to ask Dr. John.
Right. But I think one of the takeaways too is we could all just benefit from worrying less about who's in office and looking at the actual, economic conditions that we're going through, and are we doing well, and not attributing that to a candidate, but just the geopolitical environment at that time.
Exactly. Okay, so that'll do it for the Feel Good edition. If you have a portfolio of $500,000 or more and you'd like a second opinion on what you're doing, please reach out to us at peakwm.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. Thank you.
Peak Wealth Management thanks you for watching and listening to the Trust the Plan podcast, featuring certified financial planners Nick Hopwood and Jim Pilat. If you enjoyed our program, please subscribe and share. If you'd like to learn more about our services, please visit peakwm.com. peakwm.com today. See you next week.